In 1945, in a Raytheon laboratory, an engineer named Percy Spencer stood next to an active magnetron, a tube that pumped out invisible electromagnetic waves. He reached into his pocket and found the peanut cluster bar he kept there melted into warm goo. He had just discovered, entirely by accident, that you could cook food with radar. That accident would go on to put a magnetron into 500 million kitchens. It also started the longest-running health scare in the history of home appliances. So here's what I'm going to show you: why the radiation everyone fears is physically incapable of hurting you, and what is actually getting into your food while you worry about the wrong thing. Spencer did not stop at a melted snack. He held popcorn kernels up to the machine, and they popped. The next morning, a raw egg exploded in a colleague's face. Invisible waves could cook in seconds from across a room. A decade later, across the Atlantic, the British scientist James Lovelock found the opposite use for the same waves. He was reviving hamsters frozen for research, and the usual method, a hot metal spatula pressed to the chest, left ugly burns. So Lovelock rebuilt a surplus radio transmitter to warm them gently from within, and nearly every animal woke up. The same waves could cook, or, tuned gently, thaw. But a laboratory curiosity is not a kitchen appliance. The first commercial microwave, the 1947 Raytheon Radarange, was a monster. It stood nearly 6 feet tall, weighed some 750 pounds, and cost around $5,000. It went into restaurants and ships, not homes. Amana took 20 years to shrink it into a countertop version for the kitchen in 1967. And the moment the machine moved in, the fear moved in beside it. So how does it actually work? Let's clear up the biggest misconception first. Microwaves do not cook food from the inside out. Inside your oven is a cavity magnetron. It spins electrons past tiny metal cavities to generate electromagnetic waves at a frequency of 2.45 gigahertz. When those waves hit your food, they only penetrate the outer inch or two. The energy grabs onto water molecules and flips them back and forth billions of times a second, and all that microscopic friction is the heat. The outer layers get hot, and ordinary conduction carries that warmth into the center of your meal. The metal mesh on the door is a Faraday cage. Its holes are far smaller than the microwaves trying to escape, so the energy simply bounces off and stays trapped inside, while visible light slips through so you can watch. The physics here is settled, and the physics says harmless. So where did 40 years of panic come from? The fear was not built from the oven. It was assembled from 3 claims that each fall apart the moment you touch them. The first was atmosphere, not evidence. In 1977, the journalist Paul Brodeur published a book called The Zapping of America, warning that microwave radiation from military radar, transmitters, and antennas was silently poisoning the population. It was not about your kitchen at all, but it made the very word microwave sound like a threat. Then the fear found the appliance. In 1992, a Swiss researcher named Hans Hertel ran a tiny study on 8 people, himself included, and claimed that eating microwaved food shifted their blood toward the markers of illness. No one has ever reproduced it. And in 1996, an American named William Kopp circulated an article claiming the Soviet Union had banned microwave ovens as a health hazard. The research he cited could not be found, and no such ban ever existed. The reality underneath all of it is simple. Microwaves are non-ionizing radiation. They do not carry the energy needed to strip electrons, break DNA, or cause mutations. They make water vibrate. That is the entire mechanism. The panic spent 40 years aimed at the radiation and completely missed the thing in that box that actually deserves the headline. Because there is a real danger in your microwave. It just has nothing to do with the waves. It has everything to do with the container. When you heat food in plastic, even plastic stamped microwave safe, the heat stresses the material and it sheds. In 2023, researchers at the University of Nebraska measured exactly how much. Microwaving a plastic container for 3 minutes released from every single square centimeter of its surface up to 4.2 million microparticles and 2.1 billion nanoparticles straight into the food. Not per meal, per square centimeter. And here is the part that should make you angry. Microwave safe was never a promise about your body. It only means the plastic will not visibly melt or warp. The label certifies that the container survives. It says nothing at all about what the container leaves behind.
Once you stop fearing the radiation, the real hazards turn out to be almost boringly ordinary. Take a mug of plain water. Heated by itself in a smooth, clean cup, water can climb past its boiling point without ever bubbling because there is no rough spot for a bubble to grab onto. It looks perfectly still. Then you pick it up or stir in a spoonful of coffee and the whole mug flashes to boiling at once and erupts out of the cup. The FDA has collected reports of exactly this, serious scald burns to hands and faces. The fix is almost comically simple. Leave a wooden stick or a spoon in the cup, and the bubbles have somewhere to form. Which brings us to metal. The blanket rule, never put any metal in a microwave, is itself a half-myth. Thin, pointed metal of forks, tines, a torn edge of foil concentrates the field until the air itself sparks. But a smooth, solid spoon has no sharp edge to gather that charge, so it mostly just sits there and reflects. The danger was never metal, it was the shape. So the microwave is not a radiation chamber. It is, at heart, an astonishingly efficient water heater, the direct descendant of a peanut cluster bar that melted in an engineer's pocket 80 years ago. The accident was harmless. The myths that grew around it were harmless too. The one real risk was hiding in the plastic we kept putting inside it. I want to hear from you. What is the strangest myth you have ever believed about an everyday piece of technology? Tell me in the comments. If this changed how you see that box on your counter, drop a like and subscribe to LynxSifts Tech and Science for more verifiable facts. Until next time, keep questioning the world around you.